Alright, what we're going to reason about today is the Bring Our Girls Back campaign. For some who may not know, 275, I think, Nigerian girls have been kidnapped from their school. Just take that in for a second. 200, almost 300 kids have been taken. Think about when you drop off your kids at school and look around the entire school. Imagine all of those kids, all of those parents, all of those families, for now 3 weeks, have been taken from their families to do God knows what. In these situations, it's always some sort of political motivations or anything, or things of that nature. But there have to be better ways of doing things. This is another way to put it, but it's just simply inhumane. I myself was kind of late to the story. I kept seeing Bring Our Girls Back every now and then, but I had no idea what they were talking about. But once it finally hit the mainstream, now everybody's more aware of it. So now that awareness has been brought about, what next? There's a lot of corruption and stuff involved here. It's hard for me to believe that the Nigerian government, the military, and what have you, have no idea where these girls are. I think this terrorist group, Boko Haram, I think that's their name, they're operating in an area where they know that the authorities in that area won't touch them. From actually discussing this on Facebook with some friends, there are a lot of tribal differences that go back several centuries. There are the Igbos, and there are the Yorubas, and many different tribes. And from my understanding, those tribal differences run very, very deep. They go back centuries. Most Nigerians feel more loyalty to a tribe than they do to the country Nigeria, because you have to understand, from their perspective, they've had these tribes for centuries, 800 to 1,000 years and longer. And basically when they were colonized, and this has happened in many different places, they come and they're colonized, and the Europeans just come and for whatever reasons just take out a map and just arbitrarily draw division lines and say, okay, that's Nigeria, that is Rwanda, that's these different things. But you draw these lines around things that have existed for a long time. So that creates conflict. This is a story that's happened all over the world in many different places, where the colonialist powers come in not having any understanding. They split up this area because this group of people want the gold, this sets people want the diamonds and what have you. And they may draw right down the middle and mix up a whole bunch of tribes which do not see eye to eye. So I say all that to say that yes, it's inhumane that they kidnap those girls, but there's a lot of other stuff going on here. Now, people want the United States government to be engaged. So I feel about that a few different ways. You get a lot of complaints about the US playing world police, right? If it's an area or a situation that we don't have an interest in, we as individuals, as citizens, don't have an interest in, then we say, oh, why do we have to get involved in that? Why do we have to get involved in that? When a situation like this comes about, why isn't the US involved? Why isn't the US involved? We can't have it both ways. The US has a role to play in the world, yes. I don't believe the role is always to be, let's say there are different ways in which they can intervene. I don't see sending the US military in there and going and raiding and doing all that. No, ultimately this is the Nigerian government's responsibility to handle. However, I have no doubt that from the very beginning, the U.S. has been plugged in the background. Whether it's, CIA officers here and there and doing, I'm sure they're involved. They won't be at the forefront of it, but I'm sure they're involved. So as the really lone superpower in the world, I'm uncomfortable with the world police thing. Anytime anything happens, be in Brazil, be in Rwanda, or wherever, the U.S. has to go and get involved. I have no problem with the world getting involved, and the U.S. is a leader in the world. Get involved, sure, but it can't fall on the U.S. all the time. So I'm glad they're plugged in. I'm glad they're involved. I guess more than anything right now, I think, we just have to pray for those families. We have to seriously pray for those families. As everybody goes to bed, tonight, and you kiss your babies good night, or you drop them off to school in the morning. The unthinkable of your kids and all of their friends have now been gone close to a month. I have no idea where they are. I heard a father of one of the children today say that, he can deal with death better because death is final, he deals with it, but now he doesn't know where they are. He doesn't know what's happening to them, if they're being fed, if they're being raped. He just has no idea. So keep them in your prayers. Keep the role of the United States in your prayers. Keep the role of every person with a soul and what we can do to bring about some justice here. We pray for a peaceful ending here. I haven't heard much about what their demands are. I don't know if they have any demands. I don't know if they want money. I don't know what they want. But whatever it is, let's bring this to a swift conclusion without, making things any worse than they already are. So that's my reasoning on this Nigerian Bring Our Girls Back situation. Just keep them in your prayers as you go to bed tonight. All right, one love.